Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up, good people? It's your girl KB. You know what I do, and you know why I do it. Sunday morning, October 8th, and it's 6:30 in the a.m. And I'm hitting you up with yet another A word. You know, I've talked about apathy. I've talked about amends. I talked about apology. You know, I talked about adultery, but not in the sense of the word that you might relate to. I use more of a figurative type of speech to describe adultery. And now, today's A word is admissions. Yeah, it's part of amends and apology. And, you know, I want to say some of us ain't there yet. And I know I fluctuate between, yeah, I can do this, and I ain't doing it. You know, let's be honest about our positioning on certain things, you know. And I can say I get stuck on I ain't doing it when I allow pride to take over, you know. And I'm saying that to say, you know, when I'm convinced that I've done nothing wrong, it's like, why am I apologizing? And then, you know, I have to look at me and realize I'm apologizing because I responded in a certain way. Let's get into this reading. It's Daily Reflections. It says, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. And again, I'm going to go back to I ain't doing it. And looking at my stubbornness, my inability to extend grace, my inability to yield to righteousness and the authority of God. Another A word, authority. You know, your head is screaming, you're not the boss of me. But then you're trying to remain faithful to God. How's that working for you? The writer says, I was beginning to approach my new life of sobriety with unaccustomed enthusiasm. Now, sobriety, again, I want us to broaden our definition of the word. Sobriety is clear and rational thought. It's also related to not using substances to numb out, but base definition is clear and rational thought. So think about this. I was beginning to approach my new life of clear and rational thought with unaccustomed enthusiasm. New friends were cropping up, and some of my battered friendships had begun to be repaired. I want to ask, how are new friends cropping up? If you fail to be authentic, another A word that I spoke on. See, there's a new group of people being cultivated who are eventually going to be one of those battered friendships because you don't show up authentic. The writer says, in doing the daily inventory, life was exciting. And it said that I even begun to enjoy my work, becoming so bold as to issue a report on the lack of proper care for some of our clients. So now I have a clarity of thought. I can see mistreatment. I can see injustice. I can see unfair practices. Writer says, one day a coworker informed me that my boss was really sore because a complaint submitted over his head had caused him much discomfort at the hands of his superiors. I knew that my report had created the problem and began to feel responsible for my boss's difficulty in discussing the affair. My coworker tried to reassure me that an apology was not necessary, but I soon became convinced that I had to do something, regardless of how it might turn out. Have you ever had that nagging feeling that you need to correct something? Do you dismiss it as the other person's problem? Or do you understand what part you played in it? See, one of the things I talk about in making amends is that the same grace that we're expecting should be the same grace that we're extending. The thing that we've convicted somebody else of and holding them in prison about, we're either guilty of it in the situation or have been guilty of it, and so we're upset and angry because it mirrors our behavior. And because I punish someone else, I need to apply the same sense of justice in this situation as well. In other words, you don't allow space for grace to enter in because you are nurturing a resentment. You become judge and jury. The writer says, when I approached my boss and owned up to my hand in his difficulties, he was surprised. But unexpected things came out of our encounter, and my boss and I were able to agree to interact more directly and effectively in the future. See, we deal with people that want us to remain silent, want us to be, their personal ostrich. And it's like, I'll put my head in the sand and ignore what you've said or done in order to accommodate you in your delicate pride and your delicate balance of denial. Amen. I want you to hold my mask. I want you to co-sign my lack of authenticity because I'm comfortable here. You should be as well. Will you go into a hospital or a sick room knowing that someone is sick and the sickness is a result of their lack of self-care, their lack of awareness, and not say anything? And I know some of you are, it depends on how sick they are. They were sick all along the way. You just didn't call it out. It reminds me of this bad joke where, a bunch of people are camping in this area where there's poisonous snakes. And one person, ducks over in the bushes to make a rest stop. And he gets bit by a poisonous snake in a very I'm going to say nondescript place. So he comes tearing out of the bushes screaming that he's been bitten by this poisonous snake. So people get on their cell phones, and one person is able to get through to a doctor. The doctor tells them what they have to do to extract the venom. And anybody who's ever seen a cowboy movie knows what you have to do to extract venom in emergency situations, right? So the man is in a panic. Now he's prone. He's stretched out, preparing to die. But still very frantic. So he waits till his friend gets off the phone. He says, "What did the doctor say? What do I need to do?" And the friend, after hearing what he needed to do, tells the man, "The doctor said you're not going to make it." Because he didn't want to do what was necessary to extract the venom. Are you that person? Are you going to let somebody sit with venom that you know is slowly killing them? Or are you going to risk having that person upset with you as you expose certain things? I want to tell you, and I want to tell you in all, earnestness or honesty, that the person that's most often considered the black sheep of the family is the one who won't hold the sickness and the secrets. Amen. What's your role? Are you willing to speak truth in spite of potential consequences? If you are, look to Jesus as an example of how to do that.